Cake decorating has many sides and techniques, one of them is sugar veil or sugar lace. Many new cake decorators always ask how to make cake lace, but the correct and more popular term for this decorative piece is edible sugar lace. It is in the class of fondant appliqué and the likes. The difference is that it is more delicate and usually thinner than those other appliqués and fondant decorations. In learning how to make sugar lace for your cake, you have to understand several things. These include the ingredients needed, tools required, how long it takes to make it, and the diverse ways it can be used. This video would give you some insight into all the above and also how to make cake lace or rightly edible sugar lace. Ingredients and tools needed for edible sugar lace. To create edible sugar lace for your cakes, you need the following: mixing bowls, measuring spoons, spatula, silicone lace mat, parchment, baking paper, oven, boiling water, Tylose icing sugar, corn flour, liquid glucose, food color, white or any color of your choice. These are ingredients needed if you want to make the cake lace paste from scratch. However, you can buy ready-to-use sugar lace mix. Recipes for cake lace paste. Recipe 1. Ingredients: 1 tablespoon Tylose powder, 1/4 cup boiling water, 1 tablespoon icing sugar, 2 tablespoon cornstarch, 1/2 teaspoon liquid glucose, white food color or any other color of your choice. Instructions for preparation. 1. Pour the boiling water into a small mixing bowl and sprinkle the Tylose powder into it. Then mix vigorously with a fork until the mixture is clear. 2. Add the cornstarch and icing sugar and mix until well combined. 3. Finally, add the liquid glucose and a drop in the food color and mix until thoroughly combined. 4. Store in an airtight container until you are ready to use it. Recipe 2. Ingredients: 1 teaspoon Tylose powder, 1 tablespoon and 1 teaspoon of boiling water, 2 teaspoon royal icing, a drop of white gel color. Instruction for preparation. 1. Follow step 1 of recipe 1. 2. Add the royal icing and mix well. 3. Then add the white coloring and mix well too. 4. Store in an airtight container until needed. Recipe 3. Ingredients: 3 tablespoon water, 1 tablespoon gelatin, 1 teaspoon glycerin, white gel food color. Instructions for preparation. 1. Place the water in a small mixing bowl. 2. Sprinkle the gelatin over it, and leave it to sit for about 5 minutes. This would allow the gelatin to set. 3. Next, place the gelatin in the microwave for a few seconds at a time until the gelatin is fully dissolving and is clear. 4. Finally, add the glycerin and food color and mix well. Leave to cool completely before use. This recipe is best used at once, and note that the lace would be different from that made with the first 2 recipes. It would also work best for lace that you intend to paint before using. How to make cake lace, using the sugar lace paste. There are actually a number of methods that are used in making sugar lace. Spread the paste. 1. If you are using a paste that you made beforehand, mix it very well until you get a smooth consistency. 2. Ensure that your placemat is free of dirt of any kind. It is best to use a silicone lace mat. 3. Using a spatula, spread the sugar lace paste over the mat. Then with an icing scraper, smooth the paste over the mat as thinly as possible, making sure that all the crevices in the mat are covered. Remove excess paste. 4. Place the mat on an oven tray and put in an oven preheated to about 150 degrees for about 5 minutes. Dry. 1. Bring out the mat and apply a second coating. At this point, you can either place the mat back in the oven for another 10 to 15 minutes or leave out to air dry. Air drying can take up to 5 hours. But leaving overnight works best, especially in humid regions. 2. Test whether the lace is dry by tapping with your finger. If it is still sticky, then it needs more drying time. Also, try lifting it off from the edges of the mat. If it pulls up freely, then it's dry, but if not, give it a little time in the oven if you are using an oven to dry, or leave it out a little bit longer if you are air drying. 3. Store between parchment papers and place in an airtight container. This would preserve the sugar lace for a long time. Expert tips. Drying. 1. In drying your sugar lace, you have to look at the instructions on the mix that you use. That is why we advocate that you start out with a ready-to-use mix. But in a situation where you cannot get the ready-to-use mix, then feel free to try out one of these recipes. 2. Making cake lace or sugar veil requires a lot of patience. It is not something you do in a rush. Just as with anything in life, your first try might not turn out well. Experiment with recipes. Watch the drying time and temperature. Do not use hot temperatures. One trick to getting the drying time right is to check it every 2 minutes. Do not leave it in the oven for more than 2 minutes apart without checking it. 3. The gelatin recipe dries quite fast and can tend to be brittle, that is why we add glycerin. But however, depending on the humidity of your region, you might need to reduce or increase the quantity. 4. Furthermore, on the issue of humidity, this can affect the drying time of your sugar lace. If you live in a region with high humidity, it might be best to use the oven to dry your sugar lace. Thereafter, store them at once. Do not leave them out or else they will get soggy. Flexibility. 1. Some cake decorators argue that adding gel color to the cake lace mix increases its flexibility. This means that your finished product would be less brittle. We cannot say authoritatively whether this is true or not because we always add gel color. You can experiment and verify the authenticity of the claim. 2. The flexibility of your sugar lace also depends on how thinly you lay it on. It is best to spread it as thin as possible while filling all the crevices of the design. The thinner the spread, the more flexible the lace would be. That would furthermore make it easier to peel out. Accentuate. 1. You can accentuate your sugar lace by dusting with petal dust or painting with edible glitters or shimmering colors. 2. Some decorators have been known to use sugar lace for trims and ruffles. Bear in mind, however, that sugar lace is delicate and has to be handled with care. That being said, sugar lace makes great embellishments for delicate feminine cake designs. 3. Sugar lace can also be accentuated with crystals, beads, and other edible fondant cake decorating ornaments. You do not have to limit the use of your sugar lace. They are actually very versatile decorating elements that can serve many purposes. Brittle sugar lace. 1. If you discover that your sugar lace is brittle, you can leave them out for a few hours. The humidity in the air would introduce some moisture to it and soften it. Conversely, you can steam the lace a little. This is a dicey step because too much moisture would make it soggy. So just steam slightly in increments until you get the pliability needed. 2. Some decorators start by making 2 thin coats. They believe that if you apply the 2 thin coats an hour apart and then leave to air dry overnight, you'll get a perfect sugar lace. Well, this depends on the humidity in your region or kitchen, but there is no harm in trying. Conclusion. Cake lace, sugar veil, or edible sugar lace, whichever you know it by is fine. True, it can be frustrating when you first start learning how to make cake lace. But the key to perfection is patience and constant practice. Do not wait until you get an order that calls for cake lace before you learn or practice how to make cake lace. Work on it before you ever need it. Thankfully, one important fact about it is that it stores well. So, you can keep experimenting, and when you get that perfect batch, store it properly. It might come in handy when you least expected it. If you found this video helpful, click the subscribe button below. Turn the notification on, so that you will know once we post a new video. Do not forget to visit our site, www.cakedecorationproducts.com, for more cake content like this. Thank you.